cock meat sandwich.
Hey, that's getting edited.
No! Oh my god, my head.
They've come a long way, and they're hungry. Critters. They bite.
Parental discretion is advised.
TheHardCast.
It's time for another voraciously appetizing episode of TheHardCast. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm joined by Victor.
Would you like some buffalo chips or some moved chicken?
And Spanish.
I don't need a belt to tell me how to rock.
Tonight's review/discussion is a two-parter episode about the 1986 sci-fi horror action comedy Critters and its 1988 sequel, Critters 2, The Main Course. Critters was directed by Stephen Herek, while Mick Garris took on the directorial reins for Critters 2. Both movies star Scott Grimes, Terrence Mann, and Don Keith Opper. The focus of these two movies is on a group of malevolent carnivorous alien creatures called Krites, who make their way to Earth on board a spacecraft. Extraterrestrial bounty hunters track the creatures to a small town in Kansas, where they proceed to exterminate them with extreme prejudice. So Victor, did these movies satiate your hunger for 80s sci-fi B-movie cheese, or did it leave you with the taste of furry balls in your mouth?
Definitely not the latter.
No, I didn't say anything about a ladder. I said furry balls.
I definitely don't have furry balls in my mouth.
Well, do you have any other type of balls in your mouth? Because it could be the source of your badass accent.
The world may never know. But anyways, here we are again, bringing you yet another 80s classic. This movie is very cheesy. The plot is very loose. At the same time, it's very entertaining. It's just one of those movies. And of course, it's from the 80s, so you know what to expect. The old schoolers already know about this movie, but for those of you who don't...
Well, a lot of people compare it to Gremlins. They actually said it was a cash-in because Gremlins came out first.
Before?
The director, Stephen Herek, actually came out and said that they wrote the script a long time before Gremlins ever came out, and they actually had to change the script. Didn't want it to be too similar, and the script was even closer to Gremlins.
Oh, wow.
So they actually went out of their way to try to make it something different. But I can see why people might compare it.
Yeah, I guess a similar concept. The story starts out with the critters, which I guess they're called crits, right?
Krites. Which actually sounds like a really bad STD.
They're basically in this asteroid prison. They're all being held there. There's like 8 of them. And somehow they managed to escape all of their cells together and steal a ship. I don't know how the hell that happened. It must be like minimum security.
Were able to maneuver their ship without getting shot, even though they didn't look like they were doing anything. And they shot back and destroyed one of the turrets.
You see like a million bullets aimed at them, and all of them miss, and then they shoot one bullet, and then they hit the target.
Well, it's kind of like an episode of the A-Team.
Right.
Or G.I. Joe.
So basically they escape, and of course they make their way to Earth. The asteroid prison people all worried.
Yeah, remember he says that they have enough fuel to get anywhere they want to get, but they don't have food. And that's what critters want. They want food. So they got to stop someplace to eat.
Yeah, they know that when they start to feed, it's all over. So they decide to send 2, what are they called, space marines? I mean,
extraterrestrial bounty hunters.
There you go. They send those bounty hunters named Ugg and Lee.
Ugg and Lee. That's the Spanish pronunciation, right?
Yes. And they are faceless creatures which can actually manipulate their face to, to whatever they want.
Their whole bodies, not just their face.
Right, their whole bodies. They also make their way to Earth where they follow the
Which is actually a pretty cool thing because I would love to manipulate certain parts of my body.
I'm sure.
I'd be like, Oog!
It's Ugg.
I don't know what idiot told me it was Oog, though.
Right. Spanish, tell us what happens when they arrive on Earth.
First of all, like when you see like just before they get right to Earth, you give it the time period. Some of the special effects aren't quite up to modern standards, but the
movie was pretty low budget even back then. It was about $1 million to $2 million budget. Even back then, it wasn't all that, but it gets the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I just kind of refer to this like where it looks like their ship goes into Earth, and like the Earth's just like a stock footage of like Discovery Channel Earth.
Yeah, that was
a scan from a magazine, right?
It's just kind of like like the old Universal logos, like going into that almost. Anyway, so they go to Earth, and they just happen to be in Hicksville, Kansas, is where the ship lands.
Actually, it's Grover's Bend. Hicksville is next door.
Grover's Bend. It's just a speck on the map of the universe.
Yeah, they go into like the middle of the night. They fly in, and like whatever the family or some of the other townspeople see a shooting star fly by, but it's actually the kite crashing in.
Yeah, let me also mention the first 30 minutes of the movie, nothing really spectacular happens. It's just introducing all the characters and the family.
Yeah, setting up the atmosphere of this kind of small little town in America. The family stuff, like fighting over the bathroom, and the father and his stupid jar.
Yeah, he's always drinking out of a jar.
Yes, we get introduced to the family. Like, we get introduced to the Browns, which you have the mom. Her character is Helen Brown, but she's Dee Wallace. She played in other movies like Cujo. She was the mom in that.
E.T.
And,
She was in E.T.
as well. Those were the other memorable roles. You've seen her in other small roles as well. The dad, Jay Brown, he's the one with the weird jar. You'll see him in the basement, and he with this crazy concoction of random shit in his jar, and he drinks it. It's like, what the fuck are you drinking?
It looks like motor oil, coffee, mixed with jam and maple syrup. I don't know what else, but some other stuff that only farmers can probably recognize.
Their kid, Brad Brown, which is like a real redheaded stepchild-looking fuck, I guess.
Like, yeah, he's a ginger kid.
And then the older sister, April Brown. They're eating breakfast. They go off to school or whatever. And after that, the family gets introduced. We go to our other towns member that we meet is Charlie McFadden.
He's like the town drunk, basically.
Yeah, it's village idiot, whatever you want to call him. They think the first scene we see him, he's actually in jail.
And he thinks he's talking to some people through his teeth, like some space people that are about to invade. He's talking to himself and everything.
I actually found out that he wrote a lot of his own scenes. The actor.
Oh, really?
So, who knows? Maybe a lot of it was autobiographical.
Yeah, and this is a bit of foreshadowing. He does mention that he used to be a pitching prospect, but we'll get into that later.
That does play a role later on in the movie.
Yeah, and he keeps talking about these Martian people. Like, he got well, if it wasn't for these Martians, they keep talking to me, I'd be better off, blah blah, typical drunk bullshit. And he takes his bike to wherever he works, but he happens to work for the Browns as like a handyman, mechanic, whatever you want to call it. So he's on his way to the Browns, and his definition of work is he hangs out with their kid.
We get to see the relationship between the kid and Charlie.
Yeah, they build explosives together.
They're blowing up Y-Wings from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them. Maybe they knew how bad the prequels were going to be. So.
Yes, I'm sure. The next few scenes in the movie, just again, more of the family stuff.
We can just skip over that stuff until Billy Zane shows up.
Who?
Billy Zane. You can't skip Billy Zane.
Oh, yeah.
He's a teenager, or I guess in this movie, or at least in his early 20s. He still had hair, by the way.
Well, this is back in the day when people who were in their 20s were playing teenagers, which was standard stuff. He shows up. He's dating the daughter, April, or it's more like first date, actually. He's got a Porsche, although it's the crappy Porsche that anyone could buy.
Look like you're gonna haul much hay in it. No.
Do you remember what his license plate said?
No, it was something. What was it? Too big to be greater. I can't even remember what it
was. Remember now. The license plate holder said, "I'm too good to give a shit." That was a little frame for the license plate.
Right.
So
okay.
Comes over for dinner, and he has a rat tail, by the way, which, oh my god.
Yeah, I remember some of my friends in not even middle school, before middle school, third grade or whatever, they had those kind of semi-popular back in the day.
They have their dinner, blah, blah, blah. The daughter and Billy Zane, they go off. They're thinking they're going to the...
Well, I would say the daughter is flirting heavily with Billy Zane, and Billy Zane's kind of actually not a bad guy. He's all, I don't want to disrespect your father, I really like the meal. And she's really pushy. She really wants it bad.
Yeah, she's kind of a slut.
Which is, nothing wrong with that.
No.
It was funny how the dad is asking the mom to give her a talk about the birds and the bees.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I gave her that talk years ago. And he's like, years?
Have you talked to her about the way things are?
Years ago.
Years?
What the hell?
I know. He's like, how long has my girl been a slut? What has she been doing with my jar?
So they go actually off into the barn instead of the dance or whatever the other part of the date was.
But it was stupid because she said that it's going to take me for a drive. And they drive 5 feet to the barn. And he's like, what the hell is this? And then she leads him in there. He keeps sneezing and all this because he's got hay fever. She's got everything set up. She's got the boom box, the little area set up, lighting, everything. This is her slut headquarters, I guess.
Right. She thinks it's romantic.
What do I want to see an old barn for?
Come on, it's romantic.
Oh, this leads into our other famous character, Johnny Steele, which they kind of do a montage of bounty hunters coming to Earth, and basically they study Earth's culture. They're like TV monitors. They show the history. They show like whatever the war stuff, and they go into like pop culture, 80s like power ballad type of rock, and then they see this
hair metal,
which is Johnny Steele, the lead singer of whatever random lame band.
Hey, he wasn't that lame. What are you talking about?
Yeah, power. They did Power of the Night, man.
Power of the Night, man. It wasn't Lame of the Night. It was Power of the Night. Get with it. Jeez.
Forget which bounty hunter because they're both the same. They all have faces.
You got Ugg and Lee. Ugg becomes Johnny Steele. Yeah.
Then Lee